Okay, everybody, welcome back to The Move, brought to you by Patron Tequila. JB, we're talking about the Tour of Flanders today, the 103rd running of the Tour of Flanders, which, if you think about that, pretty crazy. 103 years ago, what was that? So that would have been 1916, riding over those cobbles. What was a bike like in 1916?
Pretty rigid.
Oh, my God.
Right?
It would be, yeah.
I mean, even when you think about the technology from the mid-90s to now going over the cobbles, I can't fathom.
Yeah. It's, just this is unrelated to Tour of Flanders, but, my mountain bike today in 2019 is lighter. My hardtail mountain bike is lighter than the bike I rode in the 99 Tour.
Oh, my God.
Think about that. With suspension, that's amazing.
Yeah. I can't imagine what those guys were doing back in the day and how many flats.
Right. And speaking of Patron, not only do I have the special Lancerita here with Patron Silver in it, but we have a Patron of the day, which we'll get to.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. And it's not the winner.
No.
It's not the winner, right?
Which was a remarkable winner. In fact,
Alberto Bettiol, the fact that he's never won a bike race. I mean, if you're him and you could pick one bike race to win for your first bike race, I mean,
we'll dig deeper into that because I have a lot of questions about the implications of that, the meaning of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Big day in Flanders.
We'll get to it. Before we get to the race, a little bit of business. Today's show is brought to you by Road ID. Most of you cycling fans are familiar with Road ID. They've been big supporters of cycling pro cycling included, for a long time. If you think about it, like, it just makes sense. Like, if you're out, especially now, like I get a little freaked out when I go out and ride with cars and people texting and distracted and, people getting hit. And why would you not? I mean, if you get clipped and you're unconscious, and how are they going to contact a loved one? How are they going to know your blood type? How are they going to know all these vital things?
Or if you have some sort of medical condition that would be of interest to an emergency crew, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's right there.
It just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And now they've made it really easy for people to clip on, all that vital information, whether it's on your Apple Watch, whether it's on the Garmin or the Fitbit, or even just, they make the special bands themselves. I mean, it's just so logical.
It's like it's this no-brainer when you have your set stuff that you throw on, your helmet, your glasses, your gloves. It's right there with it. Again, like you said, why would you not put that on? It makes sense.
And what's cool is you see a lot of them. You see a lot. I sit on planes and I look over and I see somebody's Road ID. I'm like, all right, this guy gets it. Anyways, for our listeners, for a very limited time, just for a few days, $10 off for your next purchase. Go to roadid.com, ROADID.com, promo code Flanders, FLANDERS, which is, of course, what we're talking about today, the Tour of Flanders. roadid.com, promo code Flanders. Got it?
Got it.
Do it. So, JB, I mean, I was... Well, before we get to the race, so I just landed from Aspen. I watched the race this morning on my laptop in Aspen, and then flew out. You were down at what was supposed to be the Cap 10K. So it's the biggest. I guess it's probably one of the biggest 10K races in the country.
It's the sixth largest 10K race in the country. 42 years.
22,000 runners.
I've probably run it I've probably run it 15 times. I mean, I grew up doing it in high school, and so it's a big one, and it's 22,000 runners registered, and it was such a heartbreaker today. We had the craziest storms roll in late yesterday,
as happens here in Central Texas.
Continued through this morning, lightning and everything. First time ever. Mm-hmm. To cancel this iconic Texas run.
I mean, I just can't. I mean, I get it if it's one thing, some dude or dudette crawls out of bed in Austin and goes down to the start line and they cancel it. But with 22,000 people, you got to figure a few thousand.
It's a destination.
They traveled. They bought airplane tickets. They got a hotel, and then they roll up, and it's canceled. I mean, was it raining? Like, I wasn't here, but like, seriously?
It was
biblical.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, just standing water on the grass, on the road, everywhere. Lightning is a big factor.
Yep.
But it was, I was sitting there at the end of it. Like, I was down there doing some work related things at the end, and they canceled it. And I'm watching them just take everything and load it back. Like crates, like a tractor picking up crates and crates of, if you've been at the end of the race, what do? You grab some water, you grab a banana.
Well, hopefully they got a place to donate that stuff.
I know. I'm sure they did, but just like, what are they going to do with 20,000 bananas?
Yeah. I never thought about that, JB. That never crossed my mind. But let's talk about Tour of Flanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I thought this race, I thought it was exciting. You guys and gals, if you listen to the preview show, I love this race. It is the perfect combination of Liège, Bastogne-Liège, and Paris-Roubaix, which is, of course, next weekend. Very technical, complicated race. The other thing in the preview show that I said always plays a factor is the weather. Mm-hmm. I checked yesterday. It was calling for 50 and rain all day.
It was dry.
Didn't happen.
It was dry and clean.
That really, really, those guys love it. Most of those guys love it that it's dry.
The fans,
they like it. They like it wet and slippery and people falling over, which is really sadistic. But weather looked good. I tuned in the last 2 hours. I found it to be really exciting. A couple things really stood out. I mean, this idea that Quick Step is just going to go, De Koenig Quick Step is going to go win everything. Just didn't happen. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking in the final with 3 of 16. The final group that was chasing Bettiol, 16 guys, they had 3 people. I mean, I don't know. Totally unorganized. It was baffling to me.
Yeah, that's a wild scenario. And I think before we get to the winner in the chase group, if you don't mind, we got to talk about Vanderpool.
Yeah. No,
because that happened before everything completely ignited. I think it was around 45K to go when he had a front flat, which is frightening, right? Especially when it deflates like that, which it apparently did.
Yep.
Lifts out a leg, getting ready to make a quick exit from the bike, a quick transition, and it hit something funky on the sidewalk and just threw him over the bars. It was gnarly.
Ass over band box.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But then what was so exciting before the race really ignited with 20K to go was watching him come back from that incident, which you have to be rattled. You can't, I imagine it's hard to get your heart rate back under control, your mindset back under control, relax, get back in the game.
I mean, this is
when it's going nuts.
This is 5 hours into the race. And as I started to watch this, and of course I was listening to the coverage, and the message from the commentators were, oh, that's too bad. He could have had a great day. His day's over. And I sort of fell for it. Next thing you know, this guy's just riding through groups. He's like, with a group of 6.
He was on a mission.
Ride them off the wheel. Go catch another group. Ride them off the wheel. Go catch another group. Next thing you know, he's on the tail end of the lead group. And he was like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And, I told you this in our production meeting, but for the listener at home, this guy kind of comes from his cycling DNA ain't bad. Okay. His dad is Audrey Vanderpool, who I raced with for many, many years, who was a real gentleman, a true gentleman, a real sweetheart. His grandfather is Raymond Poulidor, the great French rider who was, never won the Tour, but got second many, many times to some guy named Eddie. But no, he clearly, he's got some genes, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so, but to see him today and then end up 4th, I mean, that was, look, here we are. He's our patron of the day. He's my patron. Without a doubt. I mean, he didn't win, but the way he hung in there and just rode through group after group after group.
Now, from 45K to 20K, when things ignited, I was going, that's the patron of the day, without a doubt. Yeah. Like, that was epic to watch and incredible.
What's interesting, too, is and I don't know how long this will last, he's on a fairly small Dutch team. So he's not on, all the, it's not a high budget team. He's on a relatively small Dutch team. So it'll be interesting to see how long they can keep him around. Clearly he's, for these races, that's the future. He's 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I just went into his genes and what that just tells you what his potential is. I'm assuming he's a good kid. His dad was a great guy. So,
see, that's what's cool about those kind of moments, and you sharing the history of his genealogy. It's like, it just gives us casual fans something to get behind.
Yeah.
That's what I love when we're covering more of these classics. We talked about it a little bit when George was with us. It's like, give me more people to understand and get behind and follow. Yeah. And this is a good story.
Yep.
That was epic today. He won a lot of people's attention and hearts today.
And you could tell, because the feed that we were watching, you were watching here in Austin, I was watching it in Aspen. That's the Belgian feed, and you could tell that the producers there, or whoever was picking the camera angles and the heli stuff, they wanted to know where he was. Like it was always panned out just enough to figure out where Vanderpool was.
See, that never dawned on me.
It was always,
it's like who's doing the coverage is deciding what.
Telling you,
which is sometimes why you get frustrated in the Tour when they're like going to the back.
Yeah. Like showing Contador getting dropped. I mean, who gives a shit?
But sometimes they're covering what they want to cover in their home country. I never thought about it that way.
Well, that's chapeau to him. Bad luck, right?
Yeah.
Flat tire and a crash,
but epic riding.
Hell of a result. None of that should take away from Alberto Bettiol, who's, by the way, can we not just acknowledge the guy's never won a bike race
as a pro? Right.
As a pro. Okay. Well, yeah,
right.
I'm sure he won his
a lot as a kid,
his local thing, but
as a
he
pro,
has never won a professional bike race.
25 years old.
I went on his Wikipedia, and you look at his results, and even on his bio page on the team's website, they said, "What was your proudest moment of your professional career so far?" He said, "I got 5th in a stage in the Tour of France one time." I mean, who gives a shit? Honestly, you're 5th, but you never won a bike race, and you go win the Tour of Flanders. And we should also add, it wasn't like he got away and they gave him 30 minutes and he held them off. He rode away from the lead group and held them off. Like, that was a legit win. I mean, if you can pick one, dude.
So I have a lot of questions about that. Someone who's never won a bike race, winning Tour of Flanders is mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. 25 years old, and this is no discredit to him and how he rode today. Do you get to ride away because you don't have that history and people don't know and they're not worried about it?
No. I think at that, I mean, he went away with 14 or 15 kilometers to go. At that point, at that point, there were probably, I guess, 17 guys or close to it. They know that's when the race is going to happen. So they're not letting people have TV time with 15 kilometers to go in the Tour of Flanders. By the way, 15 kilometers is 9 miles. I mean, that's close. But he look, oftentimes whoever launches that move first, it works. Because if you've got 16 guys behind, again, I don't know what De Koenig Quick-Step was thinking with 3 of the 16, but everybody else is sort of solo guys. He did have a teammate back there, which was a big advantage. But if you send that move first, they just don't get organized. They can't get organized. They can't work together. They start launching these solo attacks, thinking they're going to get across. That's when it helps for him to have a teammate who kept following these attacks. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was just brilliant. Their education first tactics were amazing today.
Speaking of teammates, there was a great move by his teammate when they hit the last section of cobbles and climbs. He was right in the front and just took that turn in a casual manner, which just sort of took the piss out of all of them, like going into that. Like, it was just a great move. Like,
that's classic teamwork. I mean, that. And then to follow all the attacks. I mean, imagine if you are in that group and you want to make an attack and try to bridge across and you turn around, you go hard for 10 seconds, you turn around and you have one of his teammates on your wheel, well, you just sit up. You stop.
Yeah.
You don't keep going.
Right.
I not to beat it anymore, but I don't with De Koning Quick Step with 3 of the 16 in Belgium, Belgian team. This is their Super Bowl. Like I would have wanted or thought I would have seen more organization there. It didn't make sense.
I wrote down some names that were in that chase group,
which
went down to like 17 seconds or something like that. Sagan, Christophe, Matthews, Van Avermaet, Van Aert, Vanderpool, Nason, Valverde, and Jungels.
Yeah.
Like these are like all the heads of state who just watched it go away.
I guess, look, if the 3 steppers, the quick steppers that were there, if you're the director and you're going, okay, we've got Matthews, Sagan, all these fast guys. So let's say we organize and we bring this back. Then your only play is to try to then create another attack. So where you're alone or you're in a group of 2 or 3 where you can win the sprint. If you come to the line with those 17 guys with Sagan and Matthews and these dudes, you lose. So I guess hearing myself say that, that's probably what they were thinking. Still, I would have, if it were me in the team car, I would have gotten organized, pulled it back, and then tried to, reshuffle the deck. Like, let's not. Who the fuck cares if we get second?
So you talk often about the politics of orchestrating things, and I mean, why did this not happen? Like, I understand that they're like, I don't want to pull everybody and kill my legs and save it because it's coming down to a sprint at this point. But like, how does that happen with all these great leaders that you just watch this kid roll away?
Yeah. I mean, look, that's the way it works. I mean, it was a brilliant move by him. He talked pretty openly in all the post-race interviews I saw. I mean, he was in that group. He was he was on the wheel of Greg Van Avermaet, who everybody thought was going to be a major player. GVA was not, making an acceleration or anything. And so his director, Andreas Klier, a German rider who had been around a long time, knows these roads like the back of his hand, just said, look, if you feel good, go. And he did. And so, I mean, look, there might have been, if that was Sagan or if that was Greg Van Avermaet or
everybody would have jumped.
Might they have followed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, you do benefit. I don't think they underestimated him, but I think he does benefit from being not being him, but not being one of those other guys, right? And so, but hey, look, so many times in cycling, all this shit comes together, all these factors come together. So you've never won a bike race. They go, yeah, we'll let you have a little TV time.
Yeah,
maybe yes, maybe no. That finish is traditionally headwind to the finish. Mm-hmm. He had tailwind to the finish. Right. Look, that
could have changed everything.
That changes everything. Headwind to the finish, and he doesn't make it. But but that's the way bike racing works.
But all those directors are on the radio going, they know it's a tailwind finish. They're all know that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about how this changes his life.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you how it's going to change his life right away. Okay.
Right. I know.
This was crazy that I watched this happen. When he was after the race, but and I don't think he was on the phone actually purchasing the car at the time.
Oh,
but the big deal was that they said, I guess he had made a deal with himself or the team or his whoever. If he were to win, which he probably never thought he was going to win, he was going to buy a Ford Mustang. A Ford Mustang? Really?
If you're Italian, as Americans, we glamorize the Lambos and the Ferraris.
Ford Mustangs in Italy?
But that's.
Do they work? A better question: do they work on Ford Mustangs?
That's exotic to them. I love that. In fact, I
love it too.
If I was in marketing at Ford, I'm getting this kid a GT500 Shelby.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how it changes his life. What is this? You go from, obscurity is not a right word. You're not a household name. Now you are. you're etched in history forever, having won Flanders. You're 25 years old. What does it mean for him, money-wise, contract-wise, team-wise, everything?
Yeah, I mean, all that we don't know because we don't know what his current contract situation's like. But what it is going to happen, and it is happening probably right now as we speak, is this kid probably comes from, some little village in Tuscany that loves cycling and knows that he's a professional cyclist. He's never won a bike race, whatever. But that little village is going fucking crazy.
Oh, it's a parade.
So that's happening right now. What's going to happen tomorrow morning is he's going to wake up. Of course, this all depends on what happened in Italian sport today. So let's assume nothing. It wasn't a big soccer match, and there wasn't, nobody won some big whatever. He's going to wake up to the entire front page of La Gazzetta dello Sport devoted to him, which is kind of cool, kind of like really cool. And then the tail on it, who knows? I mean, cycling will, if this kid never saw the front of a bike race ever again, they don't reward the fact that you won Tour of Flanders in April of 2019. I mean, he has to, and by all indications, I texted today with Lawson Craddock and just kind of, how is this guy? Like, what's his story? Is he
one of his teammates? Yeah.
How is he physically? How is he as a teammate? How is he in the bus? How is he? And it's all thumbs up. So let's say he continues to progress. Then he and he's 25 years old, by the way. I mean, you can do this for 10 more years. So somebody's going to go pay you a lot of money to do that.
I know, and not to make this show or this commentary about money, but that's an interesting moment for a young rider. You're 25 years old. You just won Flanders. You have some bargaining power.
Yeah, I bet he gets paid very little. I bet we'd all be shocked at how little he gets paid. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. He's signed.
He had a rough year recently, I think, and
who knows?
Got it back together.
Nobody's followed the guy's story. He signed with this team years ago. He left last year to go to what was BMC, which is now CCC, and he came back. I bet he's on a low contract, maybe some bonuses, and he probably signed a multi-year deal. So you're a little locked in. But anyhow, I mean, he
just got to stay healthy and capitalize on this moment, right?
Yeah.
Then the next contract is where it's at.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a nice Mustang, too.
Yeah, a Ford Mustang. and I don't know his schedule, nor would I or should I guess. But I don't know if he's riding Roubaix, if that's his jam. But obviously that's next weekend, so we'll see if he's out there. Oftentimes you see guys, if they have a big win and then the next weekend they follow it up with another solid performance, they're serious.
Yeah.
Like this guy didn't just go screw off for a week and
drink champagne all week
and get drunk all week and like chase girls. Like he actually, maybe I'm sure tonight, big party.
Yeah.
Make a party. I make a party. But
what are your thoughts and comments on a team like Education First, EF, winning Flanders?
Yeah, I mean, it's an American team. It's I guess on the surface it's good for American cycling, but it's a very international team. It's I don't think many people in action, now that I hear myself say this, when I watch the race, I watch an Italian win the race. And I'm not trying to throw shade on the team, but I didn't think this is amazing. An American team just won the race. Like to me, it was about an Italian winning the race.
Yeah.
So it's an international team. It's good for them. I don't know that it does much for the kid in Iowa who wants to go race bikes, but
yeah.
I look, net. I thought it was an exciting day. I thought it was. I was sort of. I enjoyed watching it. I love the race.
What else did you notice as we just have a few more weeks of classics left about some other teams? Movistar was active.
Yeah. Look, this is not a race for Movistar, right? They're a Grand Tour team. This is the first time Alejandro Valverde's ever ridden the Tour of Flanders. Did you see? I mean, this guy was. I don't care what anybody. I say this all the time because he has a really like many guys in our generation has a checkered past. This guy that fucker is a bike racer. When he throws his leg over the bike and clips in, he's racing. When they put a number on his back, he's racing. It doesn't matter if it's at the Tour, the Vuelta, or the Tour of Flanders, which he's never done. Did you see the way he rode today? He never left the front of the race.
No, I'm just, I can't.
He is a bike racer.
I keep visualizing the quote. Lance Armstrong says, "That fucker is a bike racer." Yeah. End quote.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm sorry. Dude, we got to get the cuss jar out. We got a little grief. Not grief, but we got an email from the family that requested the cuss jar.
Yeah.
And then last week I popped off and said we never sent them the money, so they sent us a note.
Yeah.
But they thought that was funny. And they're probably listening.
A couple more team things I want to get your feedback. The Trek struggles continue that we talked about in our classics preview.
Yeah, if Quick Step has 3 people in the front group and you got nobody, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Look, if you're a $2 million team or a $5 million team, okay, I got it. You're a low budget team. If you're a 15 or whatever, $20 million team and you don't have anybody in the front group, shit. Something's wrong.
What's it like in the team bus after the race for like DeKooning Quick Step when they had 3 guys there?
I think it's mixed. I think they're mixed emotions. Patrick Lefevre is a realist. I'm gonna tell some Patrick Lefevre stories here in a second, but he I'm sure he's really disappointed, but he's also won everything else. And so yes, it's their Super Bowl. It didn't go the way they wanted. I bet he chalks it up as like, bad day, bad luck, bad combination of his guys in the front.
But what's the tone like?
And you know what else he's doing? You know what else he's doing right fucking now? I can tell you what he's doing. He's trying to sign Mathieu Vanderpool. That's what he's doing. That's all he's thinking about.
But seriously, what I want to know what the tone is like. Like did you ever as part of a team just get your ass chewed by a director after a race? No. I mean, they can't just come in and go, well, and make excuses and go, well, this happened, if this happened. I mean, what's that like? You know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, we were never really in that position.
That's a good point.
we were never the nail. Normally we played the part of the hammer. But speaking of Lefevre, and Johan Brunel called me the other day and was laughing because he was giving us shit for not being able to pronounce.
I know. How many languages do you speak, Johan?
The problem with this name and the spelling of DeKooning, when you look at it,
it's weird.
It doesn't look like that word says DeKooning. So we were sitting here last week, like butchering the pronunciation, looking like idiots. So they took that snippet from our show, and they played it on like this big Belgian sports show where there's a studio setting, Lefevre's there, all these other people there. They showed us butchering this name.
Showed video of us?
Video.
Oh, God.
And then they pull back out to the studio, and the camera goes to Lefevre, and he says, "Is he drunk?" Which I wasn't. I mean, we just cannot pronounce your language, people of Flanders.
We try.
Yeah. Godverdomme.
We've got it now. DeKooning.
We got it now. We got DeKooning.
I know. I watched a race the next weekend, and they were saying DeKooning, and I'm like, oh.
That's so easy.
And then when you go back and you look at the word, and you go, what was wrong with us?
Right. No, because we're idiots.
Okay. After watching Flanders, does that alter your predictions for Roubaix? Unfortunately, George can't be with us. He was at Flanders and is traveling right now, and it's in the wee hours. But does that tweak what you
all these guys we talked about last week, the Van Aerts, the Vanderpools, the Greg Van Avermaets, the Quick Steps. I mean, they're going to be there.
It'll be the same
full force.
Names, yeah.
Again, I say it all the time. It's all about the weather. Like if the weather is bad, I guess we could probably look. If the weather that changes everything. One other little X factor, which I can't even believe I forgot to say this. Paris-Roubaix is a French race. There's some shit going on in France. Are you guys aware of this? These yellow vests. Have you seen these protests?
Yeah.
They come out on Sundays,
nasty,
just on Sundays, right? And they wear these yellow vests, and it looks like It looks like you're in the Gaza Strip. They're in the fucking Arc de Triomphe, like with bombs and smoke and fire. I mean, have you seen this? This is people getting, dude, and they love to interrupt, right? Things, traditional things, historical things, famous things where they know they're going to get attention. I was my good buddy Alain Azizi, who sends us the pronunciations of all these cities during the tour. I was with him the other day, and he's like, "You watch." He's like, he didn't think so much about Paris-Roubaix, but I think we should think about it. But he said during the tour, for sure, they are going to be out in full force.
We're going to see some interruptions and blockages.
And they're not left, they're not right, they just don't like the way it is. How about that? I'm going to start doing that shit. Like, I just don't like it. And put a vest on, start blowing shit up. But no, it could be next weekend. It could be a deal. It could be a thing.
Wow. Yeah, and we could see it at Roubaix.
Right?
Yeah. You did send me a note because you wanted to give a shout out to an American kid.
Yes, this young kid
at Gent-Wevelgem who won the juniors race.
He won the junior race. Remind me his name?
Quinn Simmons, 17 years old.
17-year-old kid. I don't know where he's from. Wins the junior race at Gent-Wevelgem on a day that he shouldn't have won. I mean, I think early on he had a bad crash, ruined one of his shoes. The thing I loved the most about this article, it was obviously the fact that he won a big international event, but most junior kids don't have the mindset and the brains and the experience to keep a spare set of shoes in the car. Mm-hmm. Most people don't know, like in the car, we have what we call the rain bags, your raincoat, your gloves. If the weather changes, you have stuff for the elements. You also have to keep an identical pair of shoes in that bag for this very reason. So he crashes, breaks a shoe, has his spare shoes in the car, which I would be willing to bet that those other 7 kids that are on that team, there's a high percentage that do not have spare shoes in the car. So he goes back, changes the shoe, comes back and wins in the sprint. I mean, we need to keep an eye on that name.
Yeah. And something that stands out to me, Belgian kids are heavy into racing with years under their belt by age 17.
Yep.
American kids, not so much, right? American kids are kind of playing catch up with star talent. So that in and of itself is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is just like full beard. Like I can't grow beard.
No,
he's 17 and he had like full beard. He looked like G.I. Joe. Seriously. Because he was ginger, I think, right? And he was like G.I. Joe with the beard. I just looked at the weather in Paris next Sunday. It's calling for partly cloudy, partly sunny, 58 degrees. So all you race fans out there, you're not going to get your wish. Right? Isn't that just mean? You want it to rain and be bad.
I know. It's twisted fans. And then we'll have Hincapie back with us.
So we're going back like we did last year. We'll be in Greenville, South Carolina at George's Hotel Domestique. It'll be the 3 of us. And that's really his. You and I should probably just sit there and not say anything because that's his world. He really loved. That was his favorite race. That was if he could have won anything, and he knows a lot about it. So it'll be fun to sit there and not just do this podcast with him, but also watch the race with him. And I think we got a crew of like 30 or 40 people going to be there. So that'll be fun too. Remember last year? Remember the size of his TV last year?
He's got to remedy that.
Do you think he's changed that?
No.
I bet he hasn't.
No.
Well, he's got a week.
And I don't remember if I told you this, by the way.
Somebody sent us a TV?
No. Because when Bolch and I went out there to cover Gent-Wevelgem with him, when you were on spring break with the family, Hincapie blares Bro Country throughout his house.
Wow.
Constantly.
Wow.
Like,
we all go through that phase.
Bro Country.
We all go through that phase.
I'm not talking country.
No, I know.
We live in Texas. Texas country is great.
Got you. I know what you're talking about.
We love a lot of that alt country.
Right. No, I'm
talking red dirt, bro.
Yeah.
Pickup truck.
Are you still
country.
that mad at Bobby Bones? This is all about Bobby Bones, isn't it? You probably like the music, but you just want to throw shade on your old rival Bobby Bones. God, ladies and gentlemen, before JB had to sit here with me, he was like a big morning show here in Austin, and there was another morning show which was Bobby Bones. He started here, got to start here, and now he's like doing all this bro country big time.
Yeah.
And I know what it's about.
Yeah, that's it.
Wait, but when you were there, did he have this? You were just there. Was the TV the same, or is
we didn't go to the hotel?
We didn't go to the hotel.
But I guarantee you, he
guess
has
what?
not changed that.
George will be listening to this. So George, please, you've had a year.
If he hasn't changed the TV, we're going to his brother's house with a big home theater.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
You know what? Before we sign off here, not only did we have an Italian male winner, we had an Italian. What a great day for Italian cycling! Double Italian victories, not just in the men's race, but also in the women's race with Marta Bastianelli. Una bella giornata per Italia. She won in a 3-up sprint. So that was, big for Italy, big, big for her career.
Yep. Send us your questions, comments, the move at wedo.team, the member portal getting ramped back up.
Yep.
Right?
As we get
closer to the tour, some little, you get to see the behind the scenes content.
Yep.
You can check that out at wedo.team.
Yep. And thanks to Road ID and obviously, like always, thank you to Patron for your continued support. And thanks to all you guys and gals for tuning in and supporting us. We appreciate it. And we like you guys coming back and hanging out with us.